Human beings have spent millions of years evolving complex, nonverbal communication systems just so you can walk into a networking event and completely ruin your career prospects by folding your arms. If you want to stop accidentally sabotaging your social life with your terrible posture, subscribe now and learn to master the silent signals you are currently failing to read. We like to believe we are highly rational creatures who communicate through sophisticated linguistic structures, but the reality is much more embarrassing. Your brain is essentially a prehistoric meat computer constantly broadcasting its deepest insecurities through micro-expressions, pupil dilations, and subtle shifts in weight. While you are carefully rehearsing a clever anecdote in your head, your left foot is pointing directly toward the emergency exit, telling everyone in the room that you desperately want to escape their presence. This mismatch between spoken words and physical reality is where social disasters are born. Yet we consistently ignore the silent data stream flowing right in front of us. Most people view body language as a mystical art form or a cheap parlor trick used by television mentalists to guess what card someone is holding. In reality, it is a hardwired evolutionary survival mechanism designed to prevent tribal warfare and secure mating opportunities without resorting to violence. By understanding the mechanical principles behind these physical cues, you can decode the hidden subtext of any conversation, anticipate objections before they are spoken, and seamlessly transition into the perfect verbal response. The secret lies not in memorizing a rigid dictionary of gestures, but in understanding the underlying psychological tension that forces the body to leak the truth. We will eventually reveal the single counterintuitive physical cue that instantly exposes a liar, a trick that bypasses the conscious mind entirely. But first, we must examine the biological foundation of how our bodies react when we are forced to interact with other members of our chaotic species. The human limbic system is an ancient, honest, and incredibly stubborn part of the brain that does not care about your social ambition or your desire to look cool. Long before humans developed the neocortex to invent lies, tax codes, and polite small talk, the limbic system was responsible for keeping us alive by reacting instantly to environmental threats. When you experience stress, discomfort, or dislike, this primitive brain region triggers an immediate, involuntary physical response that you cannot fully control. This is the freeze, flight, or fight response, and it manifests in modern social situations in incredibly subtle, hilarious ways. For instance, when a coworker drops a massive, unexpected project onto your desk, you do not punch them in the face or run screaming out of the building. Instead, your limbic system compromises by making you perform a micro-flight response, such as leaning slightly backward, placing an object like a coffee mug between yourself and the coworker, or rubbing the back of your neck to pacify your overloaded nervous system. This neck-rubbing behavior, technically known as pacifying, is a direct evolutionary relic. It stimulates the vagus nerve to lower your heart rate when you realize you are trapped in a boring conversation. Conversely, when we feel comfortable, safe, and dominant, our limbic system allows us to expand our physical presence, expose our vulnerable areas, and gravity-defyingly orient our bodies upward. Understanding this biological foundation allows you to stop guessing what people think and start observing how their nervous systems are reacting to your presence. You can actively use this knowledge to reframe your own anxiety as excitement, utilizing deep breathing and open posture to trick your own limbic system into a state of genuine confidence. This physiological feedback loop is your first step towards social mastery, turning a biological vulnerability into an active tool for self-regulation and influence. Once you comprehend the biological engine driving these behaviors, you can begin analyzing the specific mechanical zones of the human body, starting from the ground up. Most amateur body language enthusiasts make the fatal mistake of focusing entirely on the face, which is actually the most deceptive part of the body, because we train ourselves to lie with our expressions from early childhood. To find the truth, you must look at the feet and legs, which are the most honest parts of the body, because they are furthest from the brain and hardest to consciously monitor. If you approach a group of 3 people and they rotate their torsos toward you but keep their feet pointed away, they do not want you there. Their lower extremities are literally preparing to walk away from you. This is a crucial metric for timing your conversational entries and exits without experiencing the pain of overt rejection. Moving up the body, the torso and pelvis hold immense spatial significance, acting as physical barometers of interest and trust. We naturally shield our ventral side, our chest and stomach, when we feel threatened, closing our jackets or crossing our arms to protect our vital organs from perceived social predators. Hands are another high-fidelity transmitter of intent. Hidden hands suggest concealment and untrustworthiness, which is why successful public speakers always keep their palms open and visible. When you combine these observations, you gain the ability to read the room in real time, adapting your approach based on physical data rather than social guesswork. This active observation sharpens your cognitive processing, training your brain to spot patterns quickly and transforming every social interaction into an engaging puzzle. By focusing on the mechanics of physical movement, you pull yourself out of your own head, silencing the internal critic that usually makes you freeze up in conversations. Recognizing these physical cues is only half the battle. The real mastery lies in knowing exactly what to say next based on the data you have just collected. This brings us to the counterintuitive cue that exposes a liar or an insincere conversationalist, the timing of their physical gestures relative to their spoken words. When someone is telling a genuine truth, their emotional physical gesture, like a nod, a shrug, or a hand swipe, occurs milliseconds before or simultaneously with the spoken word. If someone says, "I love that idea," and then nods their head a second later, the agreement is entirely fabricated. Their conscious brain had to manufacture the physical gesture to match the lie. When you spot this lag, or when you notice a mismatch between someone's open words and closed body language, you must pivot your conversational strategy immediately instead of pushing forward. The most effective way to keep a conversation flowing when you detect resistance is to use the observation inquiry formula, which neutralizes tension without making the other person defensive. Instead of calling them out, you state a neutral physical observation and follow it with an open-ended question, such as, "You seem a bit hesitant about this timeline. What part of the schedule is causing the most concern?" This technique forces them to vocalize their hidden objections, clearing the air and allowing you to address the real issue. It also keeps you from running out of things to say because their body language is constantly handing you your next talking point. Applying this technique builds profound social empathy, allowing you to connect with people on a deeper level by addressing their unspoken emotional needs directly. By mastering this feedback loop between physical observation and verbal agility, you transition from a passive observer to an active director of social dynamics. You no longer have to worry about memorizing scripts or awkward conversation starters, because you are reacting to the live physical feedback of the person standing in front of us. If their shoulders drop and they lean in, you know your current topic is working, and you can dive deeper into that specific subject. If they start touching their collarbone or squinting their eyes, you smoothly transition to a new topic or ask a calming question to relieve the pressure. This level of awareness changes your relationship with social anxiety, shifting your focus from "how do I look" to "how are they reacting?" This simple cognitive shift is incredibly empowering, turning what used to be a source of stress into a highly rewarding game of human connection. The ultimate irony of human communication is that we spend our entire lives trying to find the perfect words to impress others when our bodies have been doing all the real talking the entire time. By aligning your physical awareness with your verbal responses, you unlock a level of social charisma that feels like a superpower to those who remain blind to the silent language. You can navigate difficult negotiations, salvage failing dates, and command respect in meetings simply by paying attention to the physical signals everyone else is ignoring. Armed with this knowledge, you can step into any room with the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly what is happening, long before anyone has even opened their mouth.